You want to know why you should play this game? This. Seriously though, this game is some of the most fun I've had in a long time. It really takes me back to the days when developers just wanted you to have fun. They were like, here's the game, this is what it is, go enjoy yourselves. Because you can tell when you play this game that the developers, they didn't care. They were like, hey, just throw whatever you want at them and let the player have fun, let the player figure out things, and let the player feel badass most of all. This game makes you feel badass. And that's all I really wanted. When I saw the trailer for this game, I was like, damn, that looks badass. And I got that. I wanted to feel like a Van Helsing, vampire hunter, demon hunter, all that. And I do feel that this game delivered. Is it perfect? No. Of course it's not perfect. I don't think any game perfect, but man, I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss these sort of games. The more linear, straightforward game. Well, my favorite series is Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid's amazing to me. But those games are fairly linear. You know, those are real straightforward games. But I love them for that. And this game brings me back to the era of, you know, just, like I said, just having fun. Just, here's the game, enjoy it. You don't really gotta worry about too much as far as, you know, exploration. You don't gotta worry too much as far as story. It's real straightforward, and some might call it basic if I'm being honest, but I loved it. First, because of the gameplay. The gameplay in this game, very straightforward, very no holds barred. Like, you can do a Superman punch after uppercutting someone. Like, tell me that's not badass. Like, the first time I saw that, or I did that, I was like, oh, this game ain't no joke. And then as you progress through the game and you get more upgrades and just more moves, you're like, hold on, like I can do this? Then I can do that? Like this one move you get where you can like zigzag with the, man, the game is just, it's real sick. And you get more weapons and just more ways to exploit enemies. Some enemies will have weak spots that will take them out quicker if you hit it. And yeah, I ain't gonna lie, there's some enemies that are like real spongy. Like those bigger enemies that you're facing in this game, they're not, I wouldn't say they're too difficult. At least you know, once you get further in the game. Like honestly, once you get to a certain point as far as your upgrades and stuff, everyone you face can be fairly easy. But at the same time, you can't be careless. You can't just go on like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just go, you know, go badass and beat everyone. I ain't gonna lie, like some of the enemies you gotta take them seriously. You can't really you can't really do too much. But beyond that, you get more upgrades for your weapons and more moves, and the enemies do get more easier naturally, right? But some enemies are kind of spongy. That could be because I was playing it on the hard difficulty, so I guess I should actually note that I did play this game on a hard difficulty, which is, I think, one level down from the hardest difficulty, which I believe is, I think it's called Evil or something. I honestly can't remember off my head right now, but yeah, I was playing on hard, and I think that's a good point to start off. If you know, you just purchased the game and you just want to have a solid challenge, then playing on hard isn't bad. It's not really unfair. It can get annoying, but I don't think it's that difficult. I think it's really just the enemies are more spongier. I'm sure if you play it on normal difficulty, that might be the better option if I'm being honest. You might have more fun, and the enemies, I'd imagine, aren't as spongy. I haven't played through the game on normal, so I can't really be the best reference for that if I'm being honest, but yeah. When it comes down to boss fights on this game, there aren't that many boss fights. You'll fight a lot of bigger enemies, but they're not, I wouldn't say, yeah, I wouldn't say they're considered bosses, maybe mini bosses, I guess, but the boss battles are good. The only thing I noticed is for a second I felt like I was playing Dark Souls because I was rolling so much on this dang game, man. So, most of this game I feel like I was just rolling, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know if that's because I was playing it on hard or if that's just how the game is, but I was rolling like a lot. And you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing, I'd say, but I noticed it. I did notice, like, okay, I'm rolling a lot. Because sometimes when you're facing multiple enemies, it can get pretty hectic. And you'll have to, like, dodge this guy while another dude's shooting at you, while a big guy's running at you. And it can be a lot to, like, multitask on or multi-manage. But nonetheless, you get the hang of it and things start to get more smoother. I feel like this game has just the right amount of balance where it's like you'll have to be chaotic in some moments, or in some instances you have to be more crazy. You have to be more up close and personal. Like, you have to just be punching people and shooting people and not really putting too much thought into it. But then in some other instances you'll have to be more slow. You'll have to take your time, look for the weak spots, look for the right moments to shoot an enemy as opposed to just trying to punch him. And I thought it had a really good balance when it came to the combat. And like I said, this game makes you feel badass. Once you get certain moves down the line, like, I was like, oh yeah, this is sick. I probably said this is sick or this is cool, like, I don't know, maybe like 30 times or something. I don't know. I said it a lot though. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed the combat. Another thing that surprised me with this game was the environments. Even though the game is linear, they still managed to fill the levels with a good amount of secrets to find. And like I said, you can find treasure chests that give you perks, upgrades, and, well, money to buy upgrades, and you'll find different pieces of lore. And to find these treasure chests, there's a lot of different routes that you can take, little hidden passages, and I thought that was dope because the game is linear, but they did manage to still have, you know, you still get a good amount of variety when it comes to how you approach a level. Even though if you want to go to the main path, it's just a straightforward run basically. If you look around, you'd be surprised how many secrets you can find and just how many different ways you can get to those secrets. I thought that was actually really cool. Another thing that I thought was really dope was how the environments look in general. Each environment really has its own vibe and has its own story that it brings to the game. And that caught me off guard because, you know, this is a Western style game, so most people, when you play this, you probably would think like, okay, you're gonna be on some farms or on some ranches and stuff like that, you know, more familiar settings. But each location that you travel to really has its own sort of tone and vibe, and I thought it was dope because one minute you'll be in a farm or a ranch, and then you'll be in the swamp, and then you'll be in the snow. And it's really good that they added so much variety in the locations. I feel like that makes a big difference with games like this. Because that it is linear, it makes a big difference when you just, you know, you don't feel like you're going to the same place over and over again. So I appreciated that. I thought that was dope. Now, when it comes to things that break the combat flow, like puzzles and stuff of that nature, you're not really gonna find too much in that area in this game. I mean, when I first bought this game, I wasn't expecting it to be like Resident Evil. I didn't buy this game thinking I was going to be solving puzzles and stuff like that, but it does have some stuff that I guess is close to solving a puzzle. It's really just trying to figure out different ways to traverse the environment. Like, one minute you might have to be like, okay, how do I cross this bridge? Maybe I have to pull this lever or shoot my crossbow to get a zip line to get across, you know, stuff like that. But that's the closest thing. There is one area actually in particular where you have to like move, you have to move these pieces of a bridge in order to cross. And speaking of that part, there was some weird stuff that was going on where I put the pieces together, but it wouldn't let me cross. For some reason, it wouldn't let me cross the way I wanted it to go. So I guess I don't know if that was a bug or, well, it seemed intentional because I did end up crossing it, but it does look a little goofy, I'm not gonna lie. And while on that note, was just the overall polish of the game and the graphics. So I think the game looks great overall. Some of the environments that I mentioned earlier, like the farms or the swamp, they look excellent. And like I said, they all have their own tone, their own vibe to them. But I'd say the only thing that really lacks polish to me on this game, or that I noticed on this game, was some of the characters' faces like in game. And what I mean by that is sometimes you go up to a character and you'll be having a conversation with him and no one's lips move. There's no lip sync, there's none of that. Like at all. I thought it was just something in the beginning of the game. And I was like, okay, maybe that's just a glitch for now. But the whole game I was playing, no one's lips were moving when they're talking. They might as well, I don't know, they might as well have voice boxes or something. And some of the faces can look a little dated. Like, you know, I was looking at some of the people's faces, I was like, you know, they look like a little rough, I'm not gonna lie. But it didn't bother me personally. I noticed it, but I'm pointing it out because I know some people that really care about graphics and stuff, y'all might be like, oh no, this trash. But it didn't take away from the experience, you know. I still enjoyed it, obviously. So yeah. When it comes to character designs on this game, I think the developers did an excellent job at matching the characters' personalities with how they look. When I look at Jesse and I hear him talk, it's like, okay, his personality matches how he looks. He looks like he would say something like that or whatnot. And I feel like that with all of the characters. All of the characters, if you look at them, you can kind of understand how they're probably going to act just by looking at them, which is, you know, it's good. And also when it comes to the enemy designs, also thought they did an excellent job. Each enemy stands out. So like whenever I see these one enemies that like run towards you, and they really remind me of the enemies from Serious Sam that and they blow up when they get near you. Those enemies were easy enough to identify that whenever I seen them or heard them, I was like, okay, I gotta move out the way. And I feel like that same concept applies to all the characters in this game. Each character is very easy to identify, and they just help the world feel more alive as a whole. Everything seems like it was very well thought out, and the characters each have their own specific purpose, even though some are more, I guess, useless than others. Like some aren't as important as others, obviously, but each character does have its place in this world, and I feel that when I'm playing the game. Now, with that in mind, speaking of the world of this game and the story, there is no story in this game. Nah, I'm playing. There's a story, but if I'm being completely honest, I didn't care about the story. Like, all you really need to know, honestly, is that you're Jesse Rentier, I believe it's pronounced. I want to call him Rentier, but I think it is Rentier. And you're a vampire hunter. That's about all you need to know, honestly. I mean, I didn't come into this game thinking it was going to be God of War level storytelling or nothing, but don't get me wrong though, it does have a story, and the story does serve its purpose. It does get the job done, but I didn't I didn't really care for it, if I'm being honest. You can find pieces of lore that explain the story a bit more if you're into that. Like if you want to learn more about what's going on with the characters, if you want to learn more about the enemies and where they originate from, you can do that. You can find those pieces, like I said earlier, throughout the level and whatnot. But yeah, the story is basic. Like I said, it gets the job done. You're not gonna find no Last of Us level storytelling, but it does have heart. There are moments that have some, some really meaningful stuff going on, and surprisingly, there's a lot of comedy in this game. I wasn't expecting it to have as much comical moments as it does. And you can tell with some of the characters, like, yeah, this character is meant to be more wacky or more funny. But yeah, it's it's passable. It's passable. That's the best I can say about the story. It's there. I appreciated it because at least it has a story. At least it has, like thought out characters and stuff. I feel like the characters make the game more than the story itself or the overall plot. But yeah, don't come into this expecting a novel. It's not, you're not gonna be watching The Northman when you play this. But nonetheless, this game is for the gameplay, right? This is one of those games you play to have fun, and I got that. So as you can see, I really enjoyed this game. Had a blast playing it. It definitely was something that I feel like I needed at this point in my life. Like, I often find myself going back to older consoles. I still play the PS2, GameCube, Dreamcast. I still play basically everything, right? And every time I turn on one of those older systems, I'm always like, damn, like, these games were so much fun. And it felt like the developers really just wanted you to have a good time. And I get that same feeling when I play this. Games like this and even Gungrave, which I know a lot of people didn't like, but I had fun with it. Because, it felt like the game didn't really care about what people thought. You can tell the developers were just like, here's what the game is, take it or leave it. And some people are going to like it, some people aren't. I might be in the minority, but I really enjoyed that game. And especially this game, it was definitely a game that throws everything at you. It expects you to have a good time, it expects you not to take it too seriously, which I didn't. And it made it all the more fun and all the more amazing to me, honestly, for that. If you just want to have a good time, if you just want to play something that doesn't take itself too seriously, and anything that I said in this video interests you about this game, if it piques your curiosity, so to say, I highly recommend it. I really do. If you just want to have a good time, play this game. Not saying you gotta go pay like $60 for it. Obviously, I'd always recommend trying to find a sale or maybe renting it, but the game is great. I had a really, really good time with it. And I was actually surprised at how much you can do in this game when it comes to the combat. When I seen the trailers, I was like, okay, this is gonna be sick. But man, as you progress in the game, it gets like, I don't want to spoil too much, but it gets really dope. Like, really dope and really fun, most of all. I played it on the hard difficulty, so anyone that plays it on normal, y'all might have more fun than I did, honestly. Like, it might be even more. Well, the only problem I had on hard difficulty was just some of the enemies can be kind of spongy, but I don't know, man. On normal, it's probably way more balanced, I'd imagine. So you might have a blast, man. But yeah, I highly recommend this game. And if you made it this far into the video, I just want to thank you. I appreciate all the support, truly. Any comments, feel free to leave. If you want to talk about this game or any other game, we can talk movies. I'm down to talk about whatever, honestly. I'm cool with anything. And yeah, I hope all of you have a great day, and I appreciate it truly. This is Solid J. Take it easy.